Welcome to the Doomsday Download. This is the first episode. Dylan and I will be talking a little bit about Starfield, what surprised us about it. Then we're going to get into our very first picks for the Doomsday Download. That's right, the titular Doomsday Download. But what is that exactly? Well, I have a song to tell us all about it.
Look out, 'cause the world's about to blow. We've got the Doomsday Download. Save the best in music, games, and shows. We've got the Doomsday Download.
Go time. We're on the air.
Oh my word. Dylan, here we are.
Here we are. It has been quite the day of trying to get this set up and quite the year and a half, I think, of getting back around to this.
Oh my God, yes. So I guess first of all, before we get into getting back into this, we should say what this is.
Yep.
What is this, Dylan?
This is the Doomsday Download.
Ooh, say it again.
This is the Doomsday Download.
Oh, I like that.
And what is it?
It is a podcast where we're going to save entertainment for the end of the world. And the goal is to go through the best categories and everything that we've loved throughout our whole lives and save stuff.
Yeah, we've just kind of decided that our opinions are the best of all opinions.
Yeah.
And what we say goes. And I think that if we needed to put a hard drive together for the end of the world, we would be the most qualified individuals.
Yeah, I like to think of us as the curators of pop culture. I think that's not too highfalutin of a title for us. Come on, we can snatch that one.
Yeah, I'm down. Okay, so we have a couple things we want to talk about for our first episode.
We do.
But I do want to get into what we briefly talked about before we started.
Yep.
Starfield.
Yes. Dude, you literally told me something that blew my mind. How deep into the game Starfield are you?
So I beat this story.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, so Candy and I both played,
Yeah.
and it was just a weekend of straight playing.
Yeah.
And both beat the story within the first weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, we did the 6-day early release.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still playing. I'm still loving exploring planets, going to little galaxies, little solar systems that I've never been to, and just kind of going everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm loving that.
Yep.
But that has been 100%, if I'm playing a game, it's been Starfield for the last 2 weeks.
Dude, same. I didn't have the early access like you did.
Yeah.
But as soon as it came out formally, I downloaded it and I got it fired up. And I was not sold on it. I was honestly, when I was getting it started, I was like, this might just be Fallout again. I don't know if I even want to play a Fallout game today. Like, I'm 31 now. I don't know if that's still in my range of entertainment because I haven't played one in like 5 or 7 years.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy. But this one, something about it is so captivating. So actually, I was going to ask you this. What has been the biggest surprise for you with Starfield, considering its like place amongst other Bethesda games?
Yeah, so I think just like the variety of worlds that I've gone to. It's so cool to like explore so many different biomes. I love looking at the map and seeing stuff that I've never been to.
Yeah.
And just diving into that. And then I will find that I'm putting off all quests, everything that it should actually be a priority in the game, and just exploring for hours or building my ship.
Dude, those two things are so you. I feel like every game you get into, you can't wait to just get off the beaten path and do some exploring and some setting up. That's perfect.
Yeah, well, the shipbuilding too, like, kind of blew me away. I knew it would be a big element of it.
Yeah.
And then the first time I hopped into it, I spent like 3.5 hours just messing around with my ship, which has been great. And you, like, online, I've been seeing a bunch of people are making like crazy ships. Somebody made like Magic School Bus, which is really cool to see that flying
amazing.
around.
Did you see the wedge of cheese?
No.
Someone did a literal wedge of cheese.
Yeah, I love that there are going to be like so many random things like that.
Yeah.
I do definitely with games like this, I tend to go on, more of the like, okay, well, am I going to be happy with it after I make it? Or like, do I want to be flying around in a wedge of cheese?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so it's a question that we all ask ourselves. And so I will just stick with a ship that I think looks cool.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, I love seeing everybody's creations, and Bethesda has just been great about posting everything on social media.
Yeah.
And like really supporting all of that.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the community grow and flourish in a super fast way, which is amazing. Jumping back really quick, I just want to say that my biggest surprise so far for it
Yeah.
is the skill tree. I know this is a super nerdy thing to pick up on, but I love it so fucking much. I love that they added the element of you're not going to just get skills points and spend them however you want and max out the one gun trait that you like. I actually love that they do gating, soft gating, where they're saying like, no, go actually participate, gain real experience, and we'll reward your experience with being able to unlock that next skill. I can understand if some people are put off by that, but for me, I've never seen that in a game that has a skill tree before, and I was like, this is so fucking cool.
Oh yeah, 100%. Although there is one challenge, I think it's for like your O2 skill or something, where you have to completely deplete your O2 and fill up your CO2 like monitor.
Yeah.
And I think the final stage is like 100 times. Oh my God. And it's 100 on top of the ones you've done previously.
That is a lot.
Dude, it's such a nightmare. You're just running until it like hurts and you're passing out over and over again so you can get it.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is Starfield, I think Bethesda is still using, I'm pretty sure it's called the Creation Engine.
Okay.
I could be totally wrong on that. But whatever their game engine is, it's the same one that they, have used for every game that they're putting out.
Yeah.
And they just need to go with something else, man. Like it's so clunky.
Oh.
So many bugs. Like granted, it's part of the Bethesda charm for sure. But like the facial animations look insane.
Dude, have you heard Starfield? Have you seen
No.
that yet? So that's someone posted that, and I was like, now I cannot unhear that word. Every time that an NPC is giving me the bug eyes as they're walking by.
Yeah, I have seen the videos of like you'll be talking to somebody and then somebody will pop their head out and they're just staring at you.
Dude.
Yeah, it's so bizarre that they're still using that when they know that every game they put out is riddled with bugs.
Totally.
But like I said, it's part of the Bethesda charm. I do love that.
Yeah, 1,000%. So obviously we kind of missed the full where it falls in the pantheon like kind of episode for this, but so we'll just say it now. Where does it fall for you amongst the other like Bethesda RPG style games?
Well, that's hard because they are some of my favorite games.
Oh yeah, how many hours did you and I alone put into Oblivion and into Fallout 3?
I know. I know. Yeah, so Skyrim is 1 for me.
Yeah.
It's an easy 1.
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas 2.
Cool.
I think probably Fallout 4, 3, then Starfield,
Okay.
then then Oblivion, then Fallout 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say that'd probably be my order.
That's cool though that it jumped over. You said both Oblivion and Fallout 3 for you?
Yeah, so
Nice.
Oblivion was our like intro
Yeah,
to
it was.
Bethesda, and I love that game.
Yeah.
Now going back to it, it just looks
Not the
like
same.
hot garbage
Yeah.
shit.
Skyrim is it, but everything better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you have that, and then that's why New Vegas is like its own, because that's the best Fallout game for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny you say that. I've been talking to people and they have also said that is probably their favorite Bethesda game. And I've never beat it.
Yeah, that's
I'm
insane.
ashamed to admit, but I've tried a couple times and I fell off. And now I kind of feel like I need them to do a remaster because like I want it to have that sexy, Starfield look, but like, play the same. But that is Starfield. Do you have any last thoughts on it before we move along?
That's it. I'm still playing. That's all.
That's all, folks. Except it's not all, because we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of this episode, which is the first picks for the hard drive. So I guess we kind of didn't specify this, but we're going into a bunker for the end of the world. We're going to have one hard drive. It can only hold so much stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, knowing the limitations, we need to be kind of critical about what can go on. And right now, we need to pick our very first picks for every category. That's movie, show, video game, book, music. And music, we're going to have to talk about how we get specific about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the other thing is you did narrow it down to one of each, which I like because it makes it, you really have to make those hard decisions.
Yeah.
That being said, when I thought about it, most of them were not hard decisions for me.
Yeah, you computed for like 4 seconds after I told you that. Meanwhile, I had a whole night like a month ago, sat on my couch punching up my list where I was like, oh, should it be that? Is he going to do this? Should I pick that?
Yeah.
So that's where we're both at.
Well, I live a life with no regrets, so I'll just throw whatever I want on the hard drive, and humanity has to live with it because I'm making the decisions here. So
You're living life in the fast lane over there.
that's correct.
Okay, so let's start with movie. What do you got for movie? Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
Okay, I'll go. So, first of all, I want to give some honorable mentions. Shaun of the Dead, almost made it. Labyrinth, almost made it, but I'm going to save that for something else. And Demolition with Jakey G, almost made it. But, again, hoping it'll fit somewhere else. So, can you guess what my number one movie would be then?
I sure can.
Tell me.
Is it Good Will Hunting?
You are correct, sir. So really quick background on that. I saw it when I was in the Navy. I was in my room with my bunkmate. We were in A school training up for our jobs. And he was like, yeah, have you ever seen this movie? I said, no, I haven't. And I'm sat on the top bunk and he sat below me and we're watching it on like a, an old boxy TV. and then I just tried to hide the fact that I was crying because it just got me, man. Like it got me so hard. That scene to this day wrecks me so much when he says, it's not your fault, Will. It's not your fault. Like it just unlocked something in me. And I will forever love that movie. I'll forever love Robin Williams, obviously.
Yeah.
And I love the backstory to Matt and Ben coming up with the story and writing it. So, yeah. Do you have any thoughts on it?
No, I mean, I love that movie as well. I know I've read like I don't even know if there's any fact to it that they like originally wanted like a Hitman movie or something.
Whoa.
Yeah, like they tried to make like some spy action movie or something.
Yeah.
And then they course corrected and made
Wow.
Yeah, what they ended up with. I don't know if there's any fact to that. I just feel like I've seen it a few times. No, but that's cool. Yeah, I do love that movie. I watched it again for the first time in years after the last time you and I talked about it, and it got me hard too. I jerked it and felt good about it.
Yeah, totally. We had different liquids coming out of our bodies, but I appreciate that you went for the jerk.
I know, you were talking about such a heartfelt moment, and you said, it got me so hard, and I just couldn't get past it in my mind.
I'm afraid I just blew myself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great pick.
Yeah.
Okay. I had two that I was teetering between
I know
for
you
mine.
do.
Taxi Driver.
And can I guess what the other one is?
Yeah, you're definitely going to know it.
Is it The Shining?
It sure is. So Taxi Driver, I love Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in another category. But The Shining, so I have a yearly watch of The Shining. I watch it every fall. Every time I put it on, it's so bizarre because it's, such a dark premise.
Yeah.
And it is such a comfort movie for me.
Yeah.
I feel it instantly. As soon as it shows him driving through the Rockies or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah, and that music starts, it's instant comfort for me.
Which is so funny because it's like a thriller, horror adjacent movie, and you're like, I feel right at home.
Yeah, exactly. And I love a young Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
He is just one of the all-time greats, if not my top actor.
Really?
Yeah, he's up there,
so
man.
cool.
And few compare with the characters he's played. So, yeah, that's a yearly watch, and I think I comfortably categorize that as my favorite all-time movie. Within the last year, I just finally accepted that my favorite all-time movie would be a horror movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. I also love both of our picks, and in comparison to Casablanca. Like, I love Casablanca, but I'm so glad that neither of us went with the film school answer. We both went with personally, this means a lot to me.
Yeah. Okay, next
category. What do you want to do next?
let's switch it up. We won't do TV next.
Okay.
Let's go crazy. Let's go music.
Okay. What do you got for music?
So I'm assuming that we're going artist.
Let's go artist.
Then I am going to go with White Stripes.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so behind the scenes, you went with that last time too.
Yeah.
When we did this, I'm not even kidding, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I love that it stayed consistent. Why is it still the White Stripes?
Because they just will forever be this iconic band that kind of changed my taste in music entirely.
That's amazing.
When I discovered them, nobody had even heard of the White Stripes before
They hadn't heard of themselves.
Yeah, and I think I was rolling around in Detroit one day and I saw little Jackie White. He was just a little baby at the time. And I said, you know what? It looks like you should go into music. And he did. So anyways.
Is that an insult or a compliment? I don't know.
You got a face for music, young boy.
You should be famous on the radio. Listen to me.
Let people focus on your voice. No, I think that, so my Uncle Jeff introduced both of us to the White Stripes.
He did.
And it just, kind of changed my world. I know it did yours as well, too.
Yeah.
But yours as well, too, also. But
Therefore.
Yeah, I don't know how many of those I can throw in there. But yeah, and so from then on, and it's still, if I go back and listen to just some great White Stripes, it just takes me to another place.
1,000%. I'm really glad you chose that. Obviously, I love them. I love so many of their songs. I know Hotel Yorba, we would sing a lot together. And then I also always think of Girl, You Have No Faith in Medicine because of Skate. So it has a soft spot in my heart for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, I had a couple that I ran through.
Okay.
Queens of the Stone Age, The Strokes, Panic at the Disco, but I feel like Panic's going to slide on somewhere else. So I went with my girl, Regina Spektor.
Hell yeah, dude. What a choice.
Dude, I love her so much. I love her to tears. She makes some of the most beautiful, thoughtful, just gut-wrenching music, and it's all like her voice and piano most of the time.
Yeah.
So her story is incredible. She like came over from Russia when she was like 4 years old. She emigrated with her family to New York, and she just blossomed into this incredible musician. She actually toured with, I'm pretty sure it was the Strokes early on. Like she was like opening for them. So there's like old photos of them together. But yeah, man, she's just been so incredible for decades, and it's so funny. My dad turned me on to her, like as a music and artist to listen to, and she just clicked for me, you know. And I know you feel the same way.
Oh yeah. So the way that I got into Regina Spektor was back in like '06. I would watch the VH1 Jumpstart, I think it was called.
Whoa.
Where they would do like the music videos in the morning.
Dude, that's a throwback.
Yeah, and what is I can never remember the name of any song, but what is the song that she was so popular for?
Fidelity, probably?
Fidelity, yeah. And just loved it. I'd hear it every morning and just loved it. And that's how I got into her. And then it's so cool now to see, because, you know, back then I feel like you never really focus on the artist, at least the way I was absorbing music at that age, which I would have been, 14, 15. But now, learning her backstory and also like just seeing her in other formats other than like a music video.
Yeah.
And just realizing like she seems like such a sweet soul.
Yes.
It's just, it makes her music sound that much better.
Yes, 1,000%. Speaking of that, people should go watch. I mean, after this, don't stop now.
Right.
You're this far. But later you should go watch her Tiny Desk, because it is beautiful and glorious, and she opens with an improvised song about her journey into the studio that day, and it's something else. It's special.
Yeah, that performance is one of my all-time favorite.
Yes.
Of any live performance on that you can watch on YouTube, but yeah, especially of the Tiny Desks.
Yeah.
Because there are so many great ones, but hers just like, there's so much personality in it.
There is. There really is. Okay, I'm going to pick the category next.
Okay.
I want to do your video game of all time.
Ooh, okay, you go first.
Okay, I don't have any runners-up for this. It's The Last of Us. Surprise! I can't even pretend that there's any game that holds a candle to The Last of Us for me. I love it so much. There's so many other great games. Like I know you love Red Dead Redemption 2, and several other games have come to mind that we played. We played Bomberman a ton as kids. There's so many things that have special places in my memory. Half-Life. But for me, The Last of Us is the best story that has ever been told in any video game, and it hit me the hardest. And also, this has never happened before, and it's never happened since. But in the first hour, it made me cry the first time I played it. And I was like, this is a ride, and I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I was thinking first hour because I was forgetting how the story played out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like first 10 minutes.
Oh, dude, it's so fast. And as you get better at it, you can play through it that fast. But yeah, the first time you're walking around the house and you're taking your time with it. But then, yeah, obviously, I think people know by now. There's not really a big spoiler, but his daughter dies early in the game. And that's what killed me, man. I just was like, oh, this is going to be amazing.
I know. Well, and on top of that, now that we have the TV show adaptation and they're just killing it, they're knocking it out of the park.
I know.
That's been great. It's so nice that they have treated that property well.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. And obviously, we were talking about, the casting, and we always had like our dream picks of who it would be. But I think both those actors ultimately, we agree, nailed it. So it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you introduced me to The Last of Us when you were on leave from the Navy one time.
Yeah.
And you kind of sat myself and Candy down. I think Candy ended up doing other things. But you just kind of told me, all right, let's play through just as much as we can. And I think we played through it in like a day or 2 days. And yeah, I just fell in love.
Dude, that's so awesome. I love how that transfers over. So I think I might have told you this, but actually shout out to my friend Jimmy from the Navy. He's the reason I got to play it. And he literally lent me his PlayStation 3. He said, I want someone who has played this game. No one else has played this. Will you take this from me? He also gave me like MLB The Show and Uncharted, so like it opened my world to a bunch of other cool games. But yeah, it's the same thing where it's like a friend who's just like, this is incredible. I want to share this with you. How do I make this happen, And then I'm so glad that you connected with it right away, because I don't know if I could have talked to you anymore if you didn't love Last of Us. I can't lie.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so in Last of Us 2, which I do want to touch on, which I know we'll dive into that in a category later, but I also loved Last of Us 2. For me, it...
Are you saying Last of Us also, or are you saying Part 2?
Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
Last of Us Part 2. Yeah, for me, like, it was even better constructed than the first.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you get any, like, a stronger emotional hit from it, you think, than the first one?
Yeah, I would say
Wow.
so, just because
Okay.
it felt like there was a lot more weight to the decisions at that point.
Okay. You're wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, there's a whole toxic gamer community that would agree with you, so you're not.
Don't
you're not
put
wrong
them
on
in
that,
my
I guess.
corner, okay? They can have the other corner.
No, dude, you're a toxic gamer. Whatever, we
No,
get it.
Come on. You pack that up somewhere else. Get it out of here. So yeah, I would love to hear though. What is your game?
Oh,
you
would
played
you love to hear it?
Yeah, I can't believe this, but you have played more games than I have.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, most of the time it's kind of funny because I'll be playing something, and I just look over and you're just on frickin' YouTube, or I'll look on Xbox Live,
Oh yeah,
and I'm always like, he's got to fucking play something.
I know.
Very rarely do I see you playing something anymore.
Yeah, it's like a couple times a year now, but I know you're still up with Game Pass and stuff. So yeah, hit me with it. What do you got?
Yeah, so you actually already touched on it, but it's Red Dead 2.
Nice.
Yeah, I just recently started playing through it again.
Yeah.
And it blows me away every time. The amount of detail that's in that game.
Yeah.
And for how massive of a world it is.
Yeah.
The fact that they were able to pack that much detail, that much character into that game is crazy. Incredibly long story, but so well done and so emotional. I love it.
Yeah. It also is very much so. I know you love. I don't want to say this because you might bring this person up in your book section, but there's an author you love.
Yeah.
So this also feels like it fits very much in that world. And I feel like that might be part of like the connective tissue is like do you feel like you've kind of wanted to be in that world more and more, and this is kind of a window into it? Is that part of it consciously for you? Or do you think like they made such a good game, it wouldn't have mattered really where it was set? It's just that good.
It's a great quest.
Thank you for the shortening.
Yeah. Thank you for making it take so long by saying that. So, yeah, growing up, just watching like spaghetti westerns, Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Like, I watched so many Clint Eastwood movies growing up. And I feel like it's common for little boys to want to, play cowboys and stuff. But I always wanted a perfect game for that, which the first Red Dead, when it came out, was.
Yeah.
The second Red Dead took that and ran with it so far that it's like it has every element of that. It scratches every part of that itch for me.
Yeah.
Because that fantasy never dies, my friend.
Never dies.
I always want to be a cowboy. But yeah, and just the way that they wrote that main character and the way that you can decide morally like what route he takes, it makes the ending carry so much more weight.
Yeah. I agree. That's a great pick, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Runners up for me, Skyrim, for sure.
Okay.
I've replayed Skyrim, could not tell you how many times.
Yeah.
I just love going into that world so much. And then Sims.
Yeah.
Downplay how much that game means to me, that whole franchise means to me.
Yeah. I 100% agree. That is one of the earliest games that we played and the games that we played the most when we were even little kids. And when you're a little kid, games can be extra hard because they're made for people who have like bigger brains at that point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we didn't have that problem with Sims. It was always just like build your house, put them in a pool, trap them in a pool, watch them die. You know?
Yeah. 100%. And it's funny because I thought when we were talking about our favorite games, like I figured you would go with Last of Us, and I thought, oh, it's kind of funny that like neither of us chose like any classic games, any games that you play like as a little kid. But here's why. Because games are just getting better.
It's true.
I like people will stick with classic games, and don't get me wrong, there's something to love in the classic games, especially the nostalgia of them. But we cannot deny that games just keep getting better.
Yes.
You can argue that movies, they've just run out of ideas if you want to make that argument, or TV is dead now. I don't know who would make that argument, but maybe people are. But games just continue to get better, and I think I'll always, if I had to pick this 15 years from now, it would be a game that came out 15 years from now.
Red Dead Redemption 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. Run demo. I love that. So yeah, that's a really good point. It's a good pick. Where do you want to go next? We've got book left. We've got TV show. And I think those are the two categories.
Yeah, so let's go book.
Okay. You go first.
So my number one. It is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy.
The man.
Yeah, it's an epic. It takes you, so the premise of the book, it's about, I don't know what the name of the wars would be, but I don't know, some wars that were happening down on like the U.S.-Mexican border. And a lot of Americans were going down into Mexico and scalping like natives down there and then selling scalps. So it's about this young, unnamed protagonist who joins up with this small militia to go down there to hunt for native scalps. And it's just about everything that he experiences in his life. Wow. The way Cormac McCarthy writes is so detailed, and that is full immersion for me. I know that takes a lot of people out of it if you're, reading 3 sentences about somebody's breakfast or something. But for me, that fully puts me there.
That's cool.
And then it scratches that Western itch for sure.
Yeah, 100%. It's very frontiersy. Everything is wide open. Like, even the little snippets I've read from him or little summaries and stuff, I get the sense that it's very much like, it was the old world,
Yeah. Yeah, he loved that. And I say loved because recently deceased Cormac McCarthy within undisclosed amount of time ago, so we don't date the episode.
Yeah, true. All right. Maybe you can look at the air date of this one and put 2 and 2 together on that yourself. But you're right. We're not going to tell on ourselves.
No.
No, but seriously, he was incredible and like one of the all-time greats. I know that he's so great because he's a person that like readers will reference and other writers will reference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I will say the follow-up, the runner-up to that is All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy. Yeah.
Yep.
It's the first in the Border trilogy, but it is a standalone excellent story.
That's cool. Yeah, you gave me that. I'm going to read it. And then also, another one that I read that I know is one of your favorites was Tortilla Children.
Tortilla Flats.
No, wait. Was it Tortilla Flats then, or was it the other one that is in that set? Because you gave me the one where they're in Cannery Row. Is it called Cannery Row?
Yeah.
Oh, then that's probably the one that I read.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because would you say that's also one of your tops?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of Steinbeck's stuff is up there.
Yeah.
But Cormac McCarthy, I would read any Cormac McCarthy over Steinbeck. Loving both authors, he just is that much higher for me. Yeah,
for sure. No, I can see that. Okay, for me, books. Honestly, there's a couple runners up. Project Hail Mary got me reading again, so shout out to that. Also, Confessions is great. Motel Life, which you lent me, is fucking great and became one of my favorites. And Slaughterhouse 5 is really good. But the one that I'm going with is Fight Club.
Yeah, because that's a great one.
It's a great one, and it's the one that made me want to be a writer. It's the one that I read when I was in high school where I thought, oh, books don't always have to be hard. Sometimes they're just fun and punchy and fast and violent and extreme and rewarding at the end. So if any of that sounds good to you and you haven't already read one of the biggest books on earth, check out Fight Club. But yeah, it's a funny story for me where it started. Obviously, I saw the movie at 8 years old because that's the time you see an R-rated movie with Brad Pitt and Edward Norton.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw it then, and then I didn't know it was a book until I was working at the bookstore. And I saw it on the shelf one day, and I was like, oh, holy shit, this is a book first? And I bought it, and I took it home, and it was one of the fastest things I ever read when I was like a younger guy. So I will forever love it. It's on my shelf. It's one of my like lock picks.
Yeah, Chuck Palahniuk is like one of your all-time faves, right?
Yes and no. So here's what I'll say. I've gone back since as an adult and read some of his other books. So I read Survivor and I read Lullaby again. And I loved Lullaby as a kid. They didn't capture my attention as much now.
Sure.
But Fight Club I have reread as an adult and I still love it. So I don't know what it is exactly. He just absolutely captured my imagination when he wrote Fight Club. And like, it still hits, man. The fact that it was written in like the 90s and now it's like feels more realistic than ever, or like there's so many parts of it that feel relatable. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, because you said you watched the movie when you were 8.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of like scenes in the movie that would not be appropriate for an 8-year-old.
There's a lot.
And I was thinking of the sex scene between Brad Pitt and Helena Bonham Carter.
Yep.
And it's like animated, kind of. Like, have you gone back and watched it? That scene is like all animated.
Well, yeah, it's like weirdly still framed. So it's like a blurry still frame effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks straight CG.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it was though, because in the opening credits is like the very heavily CG, like working through the spit saliva. You know,
that's right.
Yeah, so it's definitely got like they're trying to reach beyond their grasp a little bit with what they could do.
Yeah, that seems right for that like era of film.
Yeah.
I mean, David Fincher knocked it out of the park, but
it's so good.
Yeah, but that it also could have been that she didn't want to be naked.
Could be
in the movie, but they were like, we got to have this scene, so she's like, just CG it.
Just CG. No one will know.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings us to our last category. I can't believe it. We've made it.
Wow.
So the last one is TV show.
Yep.
And I will go first because I've started speaking now.
That's correct.
So here's some shout outs before we get to the final reveal. 6 Feet Under, which we've talked about. It's incredible. Californication for a long time may have been a top contender, but still very good. And then my last contender, and this was a really hard decision between these last two, Community. I really wanted to say Community, but my pick is going to go to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, shit. Okay. I did not anticipate that.
Yeah, it is so formative in my life and in my tastes. The sense of humor of the show, the characters, the setting, but especially, dude, the supernatural shit. Why I'm in love with that stuff and why like pop culture and supernatural stuff are fused in my brain is because of Buffy.
Yeah.
And I loved watching Buffy. I've watched that several times through. I've watched Angel, the spinoff, obviously, like 5 or 6 times through.
Yeah.
So this is a world that I got lost in. These are characters I love. I loved all the performances on the show. I know that since the 90s, Joss Whedon has been hit with some controversy. Let's separate the art from the artist here, okay? There was a lot of people who worked on that show, and it's incredible. And the things that it was trying to do at the time for, like, you know, queer rights and gay rights and just people around the world who look different and just, like, trying to take really cool stances on stuff, I will always respect the fuck out of it. Because if you look at a lot of its contemporaries, they weren't trying anything, you know?
Yeah.
And this was just a really cool way of approaching a new high school show,
Sure.
even though it was based on a movie. But still, they did it way better than the movie, and it's incredible.
Yeah, I saw the thumbnail for that movie the other day, and it
Yeah.
was so bizarre to me. It's like a totally different actress.
Totally different.
Yeah, that's cool. And that's nice that what you were saying about queer rights and stuff, I do think it's kind of ignorant because it's clearly a show that is against vampires.
Yeah, you're right.
And I've always
It's a
thought of
shame.
vampires differently since I saw it.
Yeah,
And every time I see one now, I'm like, they should be slayed.
yeah.
I wish an attractive blonde would come over and slay them.
Yeah, turn them into dust.
Yeah, turn them
Oops, turned into
Oh,
dust.
is that what happens? When
That's
she
what
slays them?
happens.
Oh, okay.
Oh, am I filling in details? Okay, yeah, she turns them into dust.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
And then David Boreanaz, I
Yeah.
know he's Angel.
hot boy,
and-
David Boreanaz, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was a vampire.
He was.
Oh, okay.
He's a vampire with a soul, Dylan. Let me
okay.
educate you. He's a good boy.
Okay, and so a soul is like the super glue that keeps all the
Yep.
dust that makes up human bodies together.
He's still dust. If he gets
Okay.
stabbed, he still pops. But the soul lets him be a good boy, where if you lose the soul, you're a demon boy.
Okay. All right.
And that is vampires.
Okay. Okay, so my favorite show, 6 Feet Under, is definitely a runner-up for me as well. So is The Wire. I love that show. But number 1, High Maintenance.
I love that show,
Yeah.
dude.
I love that, Ben Sinclair and his ex-partner
Yeah.
made it together and did not make it focus on him at all,
Yeah.
but explores all these different aspects of life in New York City.
Yeah.
So many different points of view are represented in it.
Yes.
Yeah, I love everything about it. It is a comfort show for me, 100%.
Definitely.
And no other show has brought me to tears as many times as High Maintenance has.
It's amazing, dude. And the fact that it does it, like you said, they're episodic. So you're getting into the characters' lives in 20 or 30 minutes, and you're feeling these things for them. And then they're just gone, except for the guy.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and also, like, just watching him in that show.
Yeah.
And obviously it is a character.
Right.
But watching him and how he interacts with people, it sounds weird, but it makes you want to be like that because he is so, like, laid back.
Yeah.
But very, like, kind of a responsible person.
Yeah.
So he kind of has this balance going on where he's just so accepting of everybody. You know, he loves, like, his community, the city around him.
Yep.
And he takes everything with ease, which is just admirable.
He does. I agree. Like, watching him throughout the course of the show, you do look at him as someone that you kind of aspire to be in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And he's just so charming and like affable to people, and it's a really good show. And it's a high wire act, man. Like you were saying earlier, the fact that he's not the actual star, he's the through line. He's like the wandering through line of the show, but he's never the centerpiece, really.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's crafted so well, and it is, I think, maybe the only show where I could put on any episode
Yeah.
and it hits the same.
Yeah.
You know, I never look at any episode like, oh, all right, I'm going to skip this one,
Yeah,
move on to the next. I'm excited for any episode I put on.
Totally. Yeah, finding those shows can be pretty fucking rare. and that is a really good one. And also, it's an HBO show, so it's got the quality. It's got the vulgar stuff.
I thought you were gonna say the vulva.
It's got the vulva.
All right, creep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely removes a lot of those restrictions, which is great because it makes a lot of the interactions feel real.
Yeah.
That is one thing that I can't stand about shows that will come from like, you'll see them on Netflix and they're like maybe FX or whatever the show is. And you can tell that they are PGing the dialogue.
Yeah.
And it just feels so not real. I love what Workaholics did, where they replaced a lot of the curse words with like their own iteration of a curse word.
Like, give me an example.
Shib, like they'll say shib all the time,
Really?
which just sounds like something that like you might say if like it became an inside joke with your friends.
Yeah.
So I love that they do that because it's kind of a way around that Comedy Central barrier of being able to cuss.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, well, it's the only kind I make.
Well, questionable. We have more episodes to figure out if that's the only kind you make.
Well, you've been around me plenty long enough.
Yeah. Okay, then I can say that you make some other kinds of
You
points.
could say definitively.
Do you want me to
they're
make
not
the
all good points.
I'll make a statement. Yeah. Yeah. So that's it, man. Those are our first picks.
Okay, so let's just run through them real quick.
Okay.
Okay, movie.
Good Will Hunting.
I know, it's already going to be harder than I thought. Shining.
Artist.
White Stripes.
Regina Spektor. Video game.
Red Dead 2.
Yep. Last of Us.
1.
That's just part 1. Thank you. Book, I think. Was
Book. Blood Meridian. Cormac McCarthy.
Beautiful. Fight Club. Chuck Palahniuk. My brain stopped working there. And last but not least, TV show.
High Maintenance.
And Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yep. So, when the world ends, which it's about to, we all know you're actually learning this from our podcast. So, hop down into your bunkers. We will be loading up the hard drive, and you'll get a copy, I guess is how that would work.
Sure, we'll give everyone a copy.
Don't worry about the logistics of
Yeah.
it, but you'll know what's going to be on the hard drive that we'll be enjoying at the end of life.
That's what you need to be thinking about, is how we're enjoying ourselves in the post-apocalyptic
Well,
world.
the people with the best tastes, if we have to repopulate,
That's true.
just the two of us, we'll figure it out.
Just the two of us and a little hard drive. So, yeah, with that, I suppose, unless you have any final thoughts,
No,
statements?
don't point at me.
All right.
Goodbye.
Later.